All right, so I'm with Vuzix, with the Moviynt Division. We are software that runs on smart glasses. The Moviynt side is. Moviynt started about five years ago, I think, 6 years ago. Have been deployed at Airbus helicopters since then, and we were purchased by Vuzix a couple of years ago, and now we're taking everything we've done in the mobile solution space and putting that on smart glasses. So I've got some things I can show you as far as hardware, but what we want to talk about is how you can utilize wearables and other mobile solutions to keep you running when things happen. When you have things, for number one, if you think about high turnover and you've got people that are coming in and out of your operation, how can you train them faster? Normally, in a situation where you have a mobile solution, you might just have a mobile view of the ERP. If you think about something like a web progressive app that's running on a device, those are okay. We tend to focus on native applications that run on the devices. If you think about poor connectivity in the warehouse, a lot of that has gone away some. A lot of people have great connectivity. There are facilities that I still go into today that have dead spots, right? So you go in, you've got a handheld device, you're working on a pick order, you get halfway through it, oh, I got to stop and start over. And that's what we mean by interrupting your work session, right? Or let's say you've got to do some maintenance on the ERP of the WMS, and that's going to go down for a weekend. You might want to operate offline and not have to go to paper or something like that if you've got a mobile solution already. So if that's not supported, you can't do that. And then when you think about real-time monitoring, do you have the ability, when things are happening on the floor, in real time to go out there and say, okay, what are the exceptions? Why are you not following procedure? And you can do an intervention instead of waiting till the next day and dealing with the problems. In some cases, we see that warehousing and logistics, they might be the last ones to get the dashboards, right? So supply chain dashboards are a thing, but in a lot of operations, they're still last to know, or they get their information a week later, and we'll talk about some of that. So what do we do? So we've got three main categories of customer-facing applications that help you with this. If we start on the back end, you've got the ability to have a gateway. Our Mobilium gateway is sitting in, say, an SAP instance. We're SAP certified for S/4HANA and ECC, but no new middleware, no new infrastructure to support that. We're sitting in there. We're going to use that security infrastructure also for authorization for your users. Then the ability, as I mentioned, to have real-time monitoring. What we do on the devices is have the ability to see any behavior, transaction, or activity that's posting in real time. So we're capturing that. We're having that on our back end. We're posting transactions to the other end, ERP or WMS. And we got the ability to present that to the manager during the shift. So like I said, you can go down on the floor, say I've got an issue, I can deal with it right then, not waiting till the next day or the next week. We'll get into some details on that. And then what I'm gonna, if I can get the wireless capability back up, I'll show you the Edge client on smart glasses performing a pretty simple demo of picking on smart glasses. But in any case, we're natively designed to work offline, and so that goes back to that resilience question. Can you operate when you don't have connectivity or when the system's down? Any Android, iOS, Windows device. In this case, we're showing some here. We've got smart glasses. That's one form factor we have. That heads-up display is the one that I was trying here, the M400. It's kind of the workhorse for us as far as deployments in warehouses and other facilities. And then even on a handheld device like a Zebra scanner or an iPhone. So we have all that capability there. We can give workflows that are kind of off the shelf. So applications, these are all applications running on the device. Or we can tailor that to whatever your process flow or workflow is. In that case, we can do that very quickly because we have another product that I'm not showing here, our low-code development studio, that allows us to configure to whatever your process flow is in a number of weeks. So if you said, here's our picking flow, and we can talk more about how we bounce that off against something like a voice dialogue, right? If you gave me that, then I could turn around and show you exactly that same process in a guided workflow on the device within a couple of weeks. So just to mention, we've supported all these different workflows. And again, being able to do that offline, being able to do that in a way that gets the users up and running very quickly. So it's a validated, guided workflow where it's going to drive them through the process. Training is cut by 10 times probably, go from 2 weeks to 2 days as far as shadowing, because we're going to validate at each point in the transaction of what they're supposed to be doing on the glasses. So in this case, it's voice plus vision. So you're using the camera to validate you've got the right part, you're in the right location, I'm doing all the right things. That improved section was the Insights product that I mentioned kind of on the last slide. We'll get into that in a minute. But any of these workflows, we've done this on mobile solutions in the past, just on handheld scanners. We're now deploying all of that on smart glasses. And so when I say smart glasses, I mean heads-up display or a smart glasses form factor. You guys probably saw Meta Ray-Ban. You've seen those, and you saw their announcement the last week. Mark Zuckerberg had a little demo glitch, which I just had as well. So I'm in good company there. But as more people get accustomed to the commercial version of smart glasses, then we see that as a perfect example of how that can move into the enterprise and move into warehousing logistics. So I mentioned Insights. So this is the ability, the product for the manager to be able to see things in real time. Again, any behavior, movement, transaction, I've got an exception, I'm quitting the process, we're capturing all that. And that was really driven, since we're integrated with SAP, we're capturing all this data all the time. We're doing work for Airbus helicopters in a previous version on mobile solutions. We're now deploying the smart glasses, and we'll kind of show that workflow in a minute. But their director of supply chain for North America said, I see people using your software on all the devices. That's great. I just have no idea what they're doing. And so he went back to his BI group, and they said, we can do that, but you're going to get it a week later. He said, that's not good enough. So we tried. We said, OK, well, we've got all this data. Let's see what we can do for you. And that's how Insights was born. So tying back to the theme, the resilience theme, right? So ability to run on any device, ability to run on iOS, Windows, or mainly Android in this case. All the smart glasses are Android devices. And the ability to be hands-free. So we'll get into some of those use cases, but just passive scanning, using the camera, you're working. Our motto is we want to stay out of the way of the work. So let the user work. We're big on user experience. And so what we try to do is pare down our biggest learning early on from our mobile days. We said, OK, we've been doing this on handheld, on Zebra devices. That's great. We can put all this stuff on the glasses. Well, no. Nobody wants to see all that stuff all the time while they're working. So we started paring down, just using the camera, just giving them the information they need when they need it in the process. In the last year, we've taken that a step further, and so we are now using OCR with the camera. One of the big things we've discovered in the last year, using Google ML Kit on the device, we can scan any barcode, we can scan OCR. OCR is faster than scanning a barcode. We can scan, you got very tiny serial numbers on things, we can scan that. And so the ability to be able to do all that on any of these types of devices, we've talked about these other things, but also a ring scanner. This is an example of a ring scanner that has an Android operating system on it, not just a peripheral, and we can run our software on that as well. And so it's just how you design the user experience to give them not too much information, a little more than what they would get, say, if they're doing voice picking, and not having to talk so much back to the system. That's one of our learnings as well. There's a lot of times when you can cut down the back and forth, show a status screen or show some information, and the user can keep on working, right? Now, one of the big questions, I don't know if it's going to come up in a later slide. Maybe we can talk about it here. One of the big questions was, well, if you're not going to distract the worker while they're doing the work, you also don't want to distract them while they're driving to go do the work, right? If I'm on a pallet jack or forklift or something like that, how are we going to deal with that? So what we did was just figure out where to show the information or where to show a blank screen and have that happen within the workflow. So user is not controlling that. That's controlled by the workflow, controlled by the system, and they don't have to worry about it. They're going to get the right information when they scan or when they say, hey, I got to go do this part of the transaction. So again, truly hands-free, reducing the time to understand what's happening in the workflow. So if I'm sitting there listening to voice all the time, I got to remember, okay, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to pick? You have commands to ask that question, right? In this case, you might have one command, but I'm going to give you a whole bunch of information at once. Not too much, but more information than just voice, or I won't have to wait to listen to it all again. And then when we get into things like image interpretation and camera integration, on our roadmap, we're actively working on this because we've got some use cases to deal with it, but object recognition. So the fact that we can scan any barcode, the fact that we can do OCR, now we're moving into object recognition and having that be part of the workflow where I'm looking at say I've got a use case where I'm looking at produce, grocery picking. Can I recognize that I'm supposed to be picking apples and not pears or strawberries or whatever? Can I just look at that and make sure I'm doing the right thing, make sure I'm in the right place? So more AI. What we're using now is mostly machine learning at this point, but more of an AI. And using, one of the things we see in this case is the ability to use small language models offline on the device. So we talk a lot about AI, and this is all basically a SaaS product running on the edge client. We talk about that a lot, but we need to be able to figure out how to run offline and still use the AI capabilities. So if you think about something like a maintenance use case, where I'm going to do some service on an asset and I don't have connectivity, I'm in a part of the plant where I don't have connectivity, I'm going to do a couple of things. I want to either call somebody or I want to just ask the question of the manual, and that could be on the device. So that's on our roadmap for the next year, thinking about small language models and things like that. So this is what it looks like now, okay? So this is an example with Airbus. You can see there on the logo. This is us deploying packing for Airbus. So this is an interesting use case because we actually reduced their time to pack by around 50% on a typical order. But that's going from manual in SAP to deploying on smart glasses. We didn't have an interim step to handheld or anything there. They're using handhelds for other workflows. In this case, typical 100-line item packing order, cut it in half, made it more accurate because she's scanning. We'll actually get into this on the next slide, but she's doing scanning and taking images of the condition of the package inside the package and outside the package. All of that is integrated back to SAP and automatically posted to the right place. It's tied to the work order or the shipping order. And so anybody can go in SAP and see that. They can go in our Insights or SAP, see the picture of the condition as it was going out. So you've got some evidence there. It's one of the big, to us, that's one of the big value drivers for using camera. And we'll talk more about that. But in the other image, this is a project that we're doing for the Royal Mail in the UK. And the use case is I'm a sorter, parcel sortation. I've got to take these. He's got you can kind of see a bin here in the middle. It's a bull ring. There are bins all the way around him. They've got paddle boards. You kind of see the paddle board back there. Tells them what route is going on. And they actually manually take those. Right now they look at the label. They put it in the right bin. But they don't have any data related to that package. In our case, we're scanning one of these barcodes on the label. It's got several barcodes. Because we're using the machine language Google ML Kit on the device, we don't look at the linear barcodes. We're looking at a 2D barcode. it pops up a version of that placard on his screen within 1 second, less than a second, and he's putting it in the right place. Now that's not helping they call some of these guys packing ninjas. They're so fast. They know all the routes. They're just taking things and chunking them. If you have a new employee or less seasoned employee, they need a little help. And so we've got 3 different modes. You can do fast. We didn't call it ninja mode. But you can do it fast. You can do it normal. You can do it slow. And you can get more information. So it's just you toggle it with voice. But in this case, that's what he's doing. He's using you see different form factors. Not different form factors, but different setups here. She's got a long-running battery in her back pocket, kind of an 8-hour battery, a puck, got a line running up there. Looks like it wouldn't be comfortable, but it actually works for them. This is what they prefer. You can see here I've got on mine a smaller battery, and this is how you would normally, this is how I'd wear it if I do a demo. You would wear it like this, and you've got the smaller battery. And I wouldn't recommend anybody using the lensless frames just because they're not that comfortable. But it can be tied to a ball cap like you see, a headband, hard hat, safety glasses, whatever for the heads-up display. But for those guys, they said, hey, we got to do this in under a second. And oh, by the way, it also has to post to SAP. So that's what's happening with Royal Mail. They're looking like they're going to roll that out across their parcel sortation. The other thing we're doing when we do that, we're capturing a photo. When he scans that, we're capturing that and posting it back to SAP for them too. And there are several modes for that. We can do that automatically. We can do an autofocus, or we can have it in a manual mode where they say, take a picture, or something like that. So just to dive into Airbus, she's reading. Normally they would be doing this manually at SAP Workstation. Now when I said they were more accurate, if you think about you're in a distribution center, you're shipping out, you've got cut times, they have to get faster, okay, when the cut times are coming, and they were making mistakes because they were manually typing things in SAP Workstation. And it doesn't show it on the picture. There's a workstation over here, but she's just in her workstation working, hands-free. She's scanning the item. It's listening to me. You guys heard that? And then at the end was one of the important parts. She's taking a picture of the ship out. So now, if there's a dispute on the other end, and this is all internal, but you've got other warehouses, distribution centers, and their network saying, hey, we didn't get it the right way, or it's messed up or whatever, but they have a record of it. And so there's plenty of use cases for that. That's part of that automated quality check we're talking about here. But you're able to, it's automated, they're doing the work, and moving on. So going back to the resilience theme, if you think about all the maintenance you have to do in a distribution center or warehouse, if I have somebody that goes out and they've got to get something back up running, you can do hands-free video calling. So Teams, Zoom, and have the ability to have multiple people on the other end. They see what you see. See, this guy here is looking at it, and he's got access to some of the information of what that guy's working on, and then he's back doing his work. Eventually, I mentioned this AI capability with small language models. Some of that's going to go away because you're going to have the expert on the device with AI. And that's where we're headed. But right now, until we get there, a lot of people are using this to kind of give that over-the-shoulder support. So how do we do this? Normally, we'll do a proof of concept, bring a few devices out, get a workflow, kind of sketch that out, take our low-code development studio, put that on the glasses, and iterate from there. There are ways to do that where you could use insights or not use insights. I showed SAP, and we're SAP certified, but all that experience translates to any WMS or other ERP. So if we're thinking about RESTful APIs, makes it really easy for us to integrate. But also, if we're looking, we've got some use cases where we're looking to replace just a straight voice picking system to a homegrown back end. And we can do that as well because we're just going to use the same connectors or connectivity that other system would use. So we've got the ability to do that as well. Really fast if you got the APIs, consume, post back to the back end. But if you don't have that, if you've got some homegrown system, we have the ability to do various ways of integration. So we can do that in 30 days, depending on how complex the process flow is, what the requirements are, and then move out and deploy 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 users within less than 120 days in most cases. Different types of use cases. Any of those ones I showed you related to warehouse. But here, just getting back to that resilience theme, the ability to do that on any device, you might not be ready for smart glasses. And a lot of people are dipping their toe in the water saying, hey, it really looks neat, but then we get into the use case, do you really need hands-free? And so some people say, wait, we don't necessarily need that yet. We haven't identified all the right use cases. Let's start off on an iPhone. Let's start off on a Zebra handheld. We can do that as well. I think that's it. So what questions do we have? Gave you guys a lot of information. Didn't get a chance to do the demo. I can probably show this to people later on the side if you want to see it or do online demos. Yes?
Can you speak to one of the slides where you said 100% offline?
Yep.
Still real time? That is what I'm not comprehending.
Yeah, that's a good question. Hold on, let's go back. Which one was it?
I think it was frontline was the last with 3 images.
Yeah. That's a good point, and I'll explain that. Let's go all the way back so just we can see that slide again. Oh, you guys made my presentation look really great. Thanks, Samantha. This worked out well. Oh, I just passed it. Okay. So, let's dive into that. We natively designed to run offline. And we've got experience, our engineering group has experience doing that. We've done that for the Navy and the Marine Corps. So if you think about people on a destroyer or amphibious ship, they're on the water and they don't have connectivity. So we took that knowledge, put that into our software for wearables and mobile solutions. Natively designed for that. But there are 3 ways to operate. Fully online, intermittently offline, or fully offline. So if you're fully offline, you would not have necessarily real-time metrics, okay? If you're online all the time, you would have the real-time. But what I mean by intermittently offline is we do a store and forward methodology. And I mentioned that where if you're in the middle of a picking order, say, and you lost connectivity, you're not going to lose the order. You can keep working. Then when you regain connectivity, you post the transactions. So if you're fully online, it's real time. So it's a good catch there, but we do have those 3 modes of operation.
But isn't it contradictory if you say 100% offline, then you don't have anything else?
Well, we said it the wrong way. No, it's 100%. You can be 100% offline.
Okay, so
Yes.
still
Yeah.
have the 3 modes. So
Yes.
100% offline.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you choose to be offline, so the use case for that would be, I know I'm taking the WMS down for maintenance over the weekend. I don't want to put people on pen and paper. I'm going to preload all my pick orders or whatever, for whatever workflow. I'm going to preload that data, send them out, do the work. Monday morning, WMS comes back up, my connectivity's there, everything gets posted. That's just an example, okay?
So it's just keeping all that data, and then you've got the data points, and you're going to put it back in once you go online.
Right, exactly. Yeah, this is an Android device. It's now hold on. I do have something. Even though I'm not going to do the demo because I'm not going to make you guys watch me try to connect it. To the device.
So you are, okay.
Yes,
To the device.
yes.
So if you have like 100 devices, is there any way that you can automate that, or do you put every individual device
No, you could do, we support all the mobile data management systems like 𝙭𝙯.
Okay.
Yeah, so any of those, we would probably use something like that.
Okay. So I have to go one.
Well, no, let me take that back. Let's take a step back. We would actually, if you could preload just by being connected. So let's say that, because you'd be connected. But that's if you knew the system was going to go down. Say on Friday, you just say, let's make sure that all those are assigned. Yeah, let's make sure those are all assigned to devices. That data is going to stay on there. Back end goes down later, and then you do the work, and then when it comes back up, you're connected, and it posts. So the transactions will be on the device. So just a quick explanation. How much time do I have, guys? Not lots, not lots. So 5, I got 5. That's a lot of time. I mentioned this is the workhorse, and you saw them using the M400. This is deployed in warehouses in various places. We're global. We're Europe, Latin America, Asia. These are deployed for all the use cases I showed: warehousing, logistics, maintenance, remote support, things like that. This is an older device. This has been around 6 or 7 years. This is our newest device. Same concept, more rugged, better ergonomics. Now, again, I use this for demo purposes because it's easy to get on and off, right? So but the way you saw them, she had it on a ball cap, he had it on a headband. That's the way that's used. This battery, hot swappable, 2 to 3 hours, which is fine. I like it actually. But a lot of people wanted, and we took feedback, and this is purpose designed and built for logistics, warehousing logistics. It's heavier, but it's more ergonomically, for me, I'm not a great model here, so let's do this. I just didn't set this up ahead of time, but when I say it's better ergonomically, even though it's a little bit heavier, it's got it's more stable. So once you get it on, once you get it on here, that's what happened. So once you get it on, it's more stable. It's got this bigger piece here. This is more ruggedized. This is a more stable operation, more stable arm. One of our guys said you could think of it like if I'm an NFL head coach and I got to talk to my defensive coordinator and do one of these things. Not quite that. I don't agree with that, him saying that, but it is more stable. So if you're driving, you want to get it out of the way, do whatever, and then you can adjust it here, and I can see and hear what's going on. This is actually, you can wear this the whole shift. This is way more comfortable than this on a headband or anything like that. This is a 10-hour battery. So this goes in a dock. You take that out, put it in the dock, and then, yeah.
What about the hygiene of, let's say, the pants? If you wear it right in the warehouse in Dallas in 100 degrees
Yeah.
For 8 hours, so all operators are refused to share it. Right?
Yeah.
So we had to account for that redundancy and,
Right.
and buy a multitude of whatever needs maintenance or is being touched.
Right. These would need maintenance, right? I mean, this is similar to the headband you saw our parcel sorter using, right? So it's similar to that same construction, same material. So I agree with what you're saying. And the way you would approach that is if somebody had their own ball cap, this could also be attached to a ball cap or a hard hat. Not necessarily safety glasses, but you could wear safety glasses and attach this a different way. But there are different ways to attach it.
And what about humidity when it comes to the lens? Does it fog up or not, right?
No.
Because you might do cooler fix as well, or freezing fix.
Right, so it's -20, rated for -20. I'll get you the details on it, but I believe it's anti-fog lens. So this is the newest version available first quarter next year. So this is a prototype. The guy said don't drop it or anything. This was taking feedback from various customers in those questions. The question about hygiene, that is a good question. I think in those cases, I mean, this would not be a very expensive accessory to add several of these, right? Maintaining them is a question.